Time we checked on the killer patrol, UP 99917 was stationed at Katwe police station in Kampala. The Internal Affairs Minister should be able to effectively use this information. Right Honourable Speaker, alleged uncooperative attitude of relatives of the missing victims. Right Honourable Speaker, the government indicates that their recently deployed team of detectives disguised themselves as an NGO to retrieve information from the relatives of the missing persons. The minister did not satisfactorily delve into the ingredients of what their intelligence come NGO obtained from the bereaved families of the missing 18.
Oyo, ye leader of opposition, Mathias Mpuuga. Olunaku olwaleero babadde bazze mu parliament nga baba oludda oluvuganya gavumenti nga bagamba nti bagenze okuwakanya eyo lipooti eyasomebwa akulira ebyokwerinda mu ggwanga Uganda, David Muhoozi. Naye nga tujjukira gye buvuddeko baateekawo nsalisali nga bagamba nti okudda mu parliament ekiriba kiribazza kulibeera kumala kulaba gavumenti ng'ereese bannayuganda bannaffe abaabuzibwawo awamu n'abo abaasibibwa abalemedde mu makomera nga tebabagulangako misango gyonna nti gwe guno oba nga baganya okubata wabula nga bali mu makomera okumala emyaka n'emyaka ng'omusango ogubavunaanibwa wagira His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Ababaka bano babadde batutte ebbanga nga tebatuula mu paalamenti era ekyatuuka n'okuleetera sipiika okubagamba nti bwe bataatuule mu paalamenti okuweza entuula 15 ebifo byabwe agenda kulangirira nti ebitundu byabwe babalonderewo ababaka abalala bajjuze ebifo byabwe nti olwo bano baba balemereddwa emirimu gyabwe. Ababaka ab'oludda oluvuganya gavumenti bavayo ne bagamba bo si nsonga ekyokubalonderako abantu abalala tebakitidde. Ensonga enkulu kugatta ddoboozi lyabwe ne bannayuganda abanyigirizibwa. Bannayuganda babasaba ekintu kimu nti basooke balwanirire eddembe lya bannaabwe basobole okulaba nga bazuulibwa wa gye baateekebwa n'oluvannyuma balyoke basale amagezi agadda mu paalamenti. Teweerabira nti ku Friday wedde olwo gavumenti yabayita nga balina okusoma lipooti ku kubuzibwawo kw'abantu abo. Ababaka ab'oludda oluvuganya bagenda mu paalamenti ne bawuliriza ensonga za gavumenti ze baawakanya nga bagamba nti si ntuufu n'akamu wabula zibadde za bulimba bwereere. Mande ababaka babaddeyo mu paalamenti nga bagenze okuwuliriza ensonga gavumenti zeyeewozaako. Olwali lunaku lwakubiri babaddeyo mu paalamenti nga bagamba nti bakomyewo okukuba ebituli mu eyo alipoota gye babasomera. Bannayuganda beebuuza nti kati bawezezza entuula 3 nga babeerayo mu paalamenti. Nsonga ki endala gye bagenda okuwa sipiika egenda okubaggyayo bagambe nti okusinziira ku ebyo ebyasomebwa mu lipooti tutudde entuula eze3 naye kati ate tuzzeemu tufulumye olw'abantu baffe abatannaba kulabika. Kitegeezebwa nno nti eyinza okuba ekkuba eryazzizaayo ababaka mu paalamenti bagende mu maaso n'okukola emirimu gyabwe egyabalondesa mu paalamenti naye nga bannayuganda tebafunye bwenkanya ku bantu baabwe abaabuzibwawo. Kinaaba kya bwenkanya omulimu guno we bagwetuma era babadde bakola gwa bwannakyewa naye ku lw'obulungi bwa bannayuganda abanyigirizibwa baasalawo nti bakwatagane ne bannayuganda basooke banoonye baganda baffe abo. Tebannaba kuzuulibwa tebannakomawo bababaka b'opposition bazzeeyo mu paalamenti.
Driver of truck number UP 4841, Constable number 39975, Mr. Aktil Nasasira, was apprehended at Besseles, as none of the relatives of Rita Nabukenya, who the minister named Nabukera, was informed as required by principles of law and natural justice. The people who witnessed the accident were not interrogated for statements. Police did not go to Malago Hospital, where the deceased's remains were conveyed. Nabukenya's death was a matter of public interest that should have attracted ample press coverage, but there is no record of the said arrest of Atikulu Nasasira. Right, Honourable Speaker, that family never received the information. They remain agitated that the government neglected their plea to apprehend the killer of their daughter. Right, Honourable Speaker, pre-trial detention. The norm of lengthy detention has become synonymous with the NRM government, Right Honourable Speaker, especially whenever an opposition political activist or Muslim terror suspect is arrested. We established the reason behind these prolonged detentions is to enable the torture victims to have ample time for their physical injuries to heal. We evidenced this in the case of our NUP supporter in Kasese, Samuel Masereka, and of course, exiled Ugandan novelist Kakwenza. When their wounds sustained from torture recover, they are presented in court. Though the government report attributes pretrial detention to the limited human resource in the judiciary, it is illogical and deceitful. We have witnessed situations where high-profile cases involving ministers and government officials, they were cited in the Karamoja Unishit saga, speedily tried. Yet the same criminal justice system has many times tried the opposition activists after spending more than 48 hours in police custody and safe houses. For instance, Damashid Kavumani's colleagues, who were abducted on November 6, 2022, were lined in Mwanga 2 court a month later in December 2022, after a writ of habeas corpus was filed compelling security officers at CMI to panic and drop him at Old Kampala police station. Allegedly, Right Honourable Speaker, one Sulaiman Jakana Naduli was detained in September 2022 at Makindi military barracks for a prolonged period prior to his alignment in court in Nakaseke. The detention, according to his family members, deprived him of access to his specialized medication, which eventually caused his death. Right Honourable Speaker, our findings established that 12 of the persons who were reported missing were arrested on suspicion of having committed several offenses and were either released on police bond or court bail. UHR stated in their report, we are quoting now the UHR report, that was equivocal in their findings. We also informed the House that the UHRC chairperson, Ms. Mariam Wangadia, is on record disclosing her fears and insecurity after asserting that her colleagues carry firearms to in-house meetings. Right Honourable Speaker and the honourable members, how do we be convinced that an insecure chairperson is in the right state of mind to investigate other people's rights violations when her own rights are in contention? Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of political prisoners in custody, there are dozens of political prisoners languishing in custody on charges that the state has deliberately failed to conclude due to inadequate evidence. For example, Olivia Lutaya and dozens of opposition NUP supporters are still facing off with the court-martial despite a 2021 Constitutional Court ruling that annulled such trials. On 15th December 2022, Right Honourable Speaker, court ruled that all those persons not subjected to military law and are currently being tried before any military court are ordered that their files be transferred to the civil courts under the direction of the DPP, Right Honourable Speaker. This directive has, however, been disregarded to date, with the political prisoners continuously facing an endless trial and all their bail attempt thwarted, despite presenting substantial sureties, who include blood relatives and credible leaders. We call on the Minister of Justice to explain to the country why the General Court-Martial is contemptuous to the Constitutional Court ruling on trial of civilians. I refer the House to the Constitutional Court petition number 44 of 2015, retired Captain Amos Byarugaba and others versus the Attorney General, Right Honourable Speaker. I have attached that ruling, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I bring to your attention the fact that dozens of NUP supporters who merely wore a party red beret have been subjected to a lengthy pre-trial detention at the hands of the court-martial without any incriminating evidence. But on the other hand, ADF suspects, Jamil Mukulu, alleged to have killed dozens of students at Chwamba Technical Institute in 1988, and Dawood Rashid Choto, alias Sinjovu, alleged to have killed tourists at Queen's National Park, are facing trial in civilian courts, Right Honourable Speaker. Is this duplicity? If not miscarriage of justice, Right Honourable Speaker, what should we describe this to be? For a criminal justice system to subject NUP supporters, exercising their political right to a court-martial on one hand, and try ADF terror suspects in a civilian court on the other hand. Right, Honourable Speaker, detention without trial. The Commissioner General of Government Prison, Right Honourable Speaker, Mr. Johnson Bashaija, recently decried the influx of prisoners on remand that have overwhelmed the prison system, the prison service cells. According to the UPS, out of this 76,367 inmates, 39,453 are convicts, while 36,422 are on remand, cases of detention without trial. The law clearly stipulates that prisoners should spend at most 180 days on remand, an equivalent of 6 months. But unfortunately, the majority of inmates, including NUP supporters, illegally under court-martial, have spent more than that time. I will symbolically, Right Honourable Speaker, cite Abudu Matovu, who was abducted from his workplace in Kampala in 2020. His mother, Ewan Nakabuye Hadija, and the father, Mwalimu Kabi Bukenya, resident of Bukana village in Nakagongo Parish, Matete Sub-County in Zimbabwe district, revealed that their son is rotting in Chitaria prison without undergoing any trial. Right Honourable Speaker, since 2020. Right Honourable Speaker, institutionalized Islamophobia. Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister says the Ugandan prison service statistics reflect 16.4% of Muslim inmates, 29.5% Protestants, and 43.1% Catholics, which is obvious given the numerical setup of Christian faith, even the national census figures. But our area of concern, Right Honourable Speaker, is the deliberate campaign to depict Muslims as usual treason and terror suspects each time there is a high-profile murder. I am much alive to the fact that most terror suspects with the pending cases at the High Court International Crimes Division are Muslims, Right Honourable Speaker. There have also been persistent raids on madrasa schools, notably Imam Raida Islamic School in Buloba in 2023, and the Kamoga Home Rehabilitation Center, where heavily armed security officers were filmed torturing Muslim minors in 2023, among others. Right Honourable Speaker, without necessarily having to belabor the House, I have provided a chronology on page 15 of assassinated sheikhs without killers identified or tried successfully. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, page 16 offers this clear chronology of sheikhs and imams that have been killed, and at every moment the immediate suspects are Muslims. It is worth noting that in all these cases, the courts have not convicted any single individual. Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want your guidance, Right Honourable Speaker. On this report or rejoinder, when you analyze the attached documents, especially the national IDs, and the vehicles alleged to be kidnapping, you can neither read the number plate nor read the national IDs of the people alleged to be kidnapped. Are we proceeding right? Depend on documents that cannot be...
I have not yet allowed the laying of the documents. We will verify the documents before they are laid, and even whatever is on video, I will first watch in my office before it is laid. So we'll look at them. Whatever is not clear, we shall not lay. Yes.
I want to thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My understanding of what the leader of the opposition is putting across in response to what the minister said with regard to identification of the kidnapping or offending vehicles is exactly what the Lop is explaining. That you cannot, because these people disguise themselves. And I thought it would be a matter of interest for government to know how to get those criminals that probably would be tarnishing the government image. Would it not be procedurally right that you guide colleagues first to listen to this and interrogate the issue? As Honorable Fox Odoi said, a matter of human rights, should actually, the NRM side should be more interested in this than us. Because tomorrow, you are the ones who will be looked at as Idi Amin.
Honorable members, it is to the best of our interest, all of us. Whatever we are discussing now, we are representing the people of Uganda, not individuals. When you talk about no, for me, no votes for me. It doesn't vote for no. So those are still my voters. Those are your voters. And you can't know, there's nothing written anywhere that this is a noble person, this is FDC, this is NRM or whichever. These are Ugandans and human beings, and we are here to represent the people of Uganda. And when we are here, we should learn to speak one word. When we are in this house, and I will tell you, government, we need to promote the rule of law. We need to. Yes.
Thank you for your guidance, Honourable Speaker. And I want to assure the House, for example, that in one of the family visits we made, some of the families of missing people are actually NRM supporters. So we are pursuing this without recourse to color or creed. We are only pursuing justice for these families, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, on page 7, I'm providing cases where high-profile officials were assassinated and the Muslims arrested en masse. I don't have to read through the detail, but I'm quoting March 7, 2017, the assassination of the former AIGP Andrew Kawesa, Felix Kawesa.
And members, I want you to know one thing. Most of these things are inherited, because I don't think any of you was in the House in 2017. We're inheriting some of these things, but we must discuss them. Me, I was not here.
I am also quoting the June 21 attempted assassination of our friend General Katumba Wamala. I'm quoting the September 2018 assassination of ASP Muhammad Chirumira. I am quoting the twin bombings of 2021. But, Honourable Speaker, I wanted the minister to understand why we said that there's a targeting of Muslims to which all of us as leaders, we must really have our eyes open and see whether it is really a matter away from our scrutiny. But, Honourable Speaker, on the issue of violations of human rights in fishing communities, the UPDF has, out of impunity, continued to terrorize and blatantly torture fishermen in various water bodies, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, fish is impounded from the fishermen by the military, who in turn make a killing out of it and ultimately enslave the fishing communities. Harassment and death at the hands of armed personnel have been reported on the lakes. Fishermen are terrorized and their nets seized. They are accused of using particular nets, now deemed illegal, yet they are manufactured in Uganda and others are cleared for import. Right Honourable Speaker, ironically, the government knows about the trade-in of such gears because taxes are levied on them. Parliament has passed numerous resolutions suspending UPDF activities on water bodies as far as the regulation of fisheries is concerned, all in vain. To date, the Fisheries and Aquaculture Act 2022 has not been operationalized and implemented. While the Fisheries and Aquaculture Act 2022 deems UPDF presence of the lakes unlawful, they will disrupt fishing activities and profit from the confiscated fish and fishing gear. But, Honourable Speaker, on page 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and a part of 23, I am enlisting names of Ugandans that have either been killed, maimed or drowned in various fishing communities. And this House of Parliament should not be held complicit in these violations. Right, Honourable Speaker, I understand that over 80 members of Parliament here represent fishing communities. They are waiting for a voice on these violations that are provided, including names that can be verified with a proper inquest, right, Honourable Speaker. We are on page 23, right, Honourable Speaker. Additionally, that these atrocities have spread nationwide on all national water bodies and landing sites. Further mentions can be made concerning cases of reported from Choga County and Lamb landing sites, right, Honourable Speaker. The names have mentioned there have suffered at the hands of the military. There is overwhelming evidence showing the wanton and reckless conduct of the UPDF on our national waters. Isn't Parliament interested, right, Honourable Speaker, in investigating the owners and actions of the soldiers operating boats with the inscription, "Watch our seme"? Let them talk. Whether they are chasing other fishermen, they are very active. Isn't Parliament interested in understanding who is behind this? Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, the government is neither willing nor interested in investigating the concerns raised here. Institutionally, the bodies that have attempted to tackle issues of human rights violations have continually not delved exhaustively and effectively into the concerns at hand. Honourable Speaker, the government statement is therefore a replica of past statements on the same. It's not only detached from reality, but also laced with insensitivity and laden with mockery for the bereaved families of the missing victims, and they hereby reject it in its entirety. Now, right, Honourable Speaker, with a heavy heart and a deep sense of responsibility to address a matter of utmost importance, the protection of human rights within our nation, right, Honourable Speaker, we are here to demand for justice and invite the House to join us. Our shared commitment to justice, equality, and the fundamental dignity of every individual compels us to confront the disturbing reports of human rights violations that have come to light. Right, Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the reports on abuse of human rights, enforced disappearances, and violence are non-partisan. They cannot be ignored, and they demand a thorough investigation. Where a sitting government elects to commit or deliberately fails to investigate unspeakable and horrendous actions committed against people by acting extremely intolerant to political dissent and delimiting the civic space as demonstrated herein, the only fortress that remains harboring their hope and trust is the legislature. Honourable Speaker and colleagues, Parliament serves as a stage where the voices of the oppressed are amplified, where people's representatives refuse to be silent about injustice, and where the struggle for human rights is unfettered, fully expressed, and conclusively pursued without fear or favor. Right, Honourable Speaker, precisely that is the billing and the expectation of the public in the legislature is profound. Protection and promotion of the sanctity of human rights is our cardinal role. It is a clarion call to Parliament to uphold this honor. Honourable members, I humbly submit and implore you to rise to the occasion. As a matter of fact, this 11th Parliament will go down the annals of history as having risen to the occasion when the government turned against her people. Let us go on record as a people who knew what was right and acted in the best interest of the citizenry. Right, Honourable Speaker, we therefore demand of the following and the support of the House. 1, immediate unconditional release of all political prisoners rotting in numerous jails and illegal detention facilities without trial. Non-trial of these cases is a clear indication of lack of evidence on the side of government and a red flag that these persecutions are intended to shrink the civic space further and criminalize association with the opposition in our country. Honourable Speaker, these are prisoners of conscience that should not be used as a bargaining tool for the ruling party to suffocate civic space and the desire to settle outstanding political questions through these illegal detentions. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should explain to the nation under which law the government is charging the citizens with the offense of subversive activities. Honourable Speaker, the Constitution is very clear. You cannot raise an offense that's not prescribed by law. I have attacked several charge sheets with the offense of subversive activities, not anywhere on our penal laws. So it's the creation of the government without parliamentary involvement, Honourable Speaker. The offense of subversive activities is non-existent, but several people are rotting in jail on account of the offense of subversive activities, which is not prescribed by law, Honourable Speaker. 2, establishment of a judicial commission of inquiry. Honourable Speaker, we demand that with the utmost urgency, the formation of a commission of inquiry to investigate these glaring human rights violations. We propose that the said commission of inquiry be chaired by a judge of the High Court. We believe that the commission will be endowed with the authority, independence, and resources necessary to uncover the truth, to hold those responsible accountable, and to ensure that justice prevails. Honourable Speaker, our prayer is premised on Section 1 of the Commission of Inquiries Act, which empowers the Minister of Justice to issue a commission appointing one or more commissioners and authorizing those commissioners to inquire into a conduct of any officer in public service of Uganda, the conduct of any chief, the conduct of all management of any department of the public service, all of any public or local institution, or in any matter in which an inquiry would be for the public welfare, Honourable Speaker. In specific terms, we move that the Commission specifically handles the case of the 18 missing persons, the unresolved cases of targeted and slain Muslim clerics, and the infamous November 2020 killings. Honourable Speaker, the extent of suffocation visited on our common peoples require an independent hearing, especially in view of government reluctancy and a clear disinterest in coming clean and deliberately disabling the wheels of justice several months after these gross violations were reported. We propose that the Commission, among others, considers the role of the security agencies, political leaders, the general state of intolerance during and after the 2021 general elections, and ultimately remedy for the victims and their families. 3, need for a select committee of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, Rule 190 of the Parliamentary Rules of Procedure empowers Parliament to appoint a select committee to investigate a particular matter. We propose that the said select committee investigates the rampant cases of rape, defilement, destruction of property, murders, and justified arrests and illegal closure of many landing sites in the fishing communities across the country, and ultimately remedy for the victims and their families. 4, Honourable Speaker, all those persons not subjected to military law, not subject to military law, and are currently being tried before any military court, be transferred to civil courts under the direction of the Director of Public Prosecution as directed by the Constitutional Court in Constitutional Petition number 44 of 2015, retired Captain Amon Biarugaba and others versus the Attorney General, decided on 15th December 2022 and was never appealed nor stayed.
Ezo ze zimu ku nsonga Leader of Opposition zasomedde Speaker mu Parliament ng'amugamba nti y'ensonga lwaki tebakkiriziganya n'ebyo ebyava mu alipoota gye baasomera banna opposition kubuzibwawo kw'abantu baabwe. Tusaba nga bannayuganda bwe babadde balina essuubi mu babaka bano, babadde bagamba nti ababaka ke bamaze okukiriyalinga ensonga zaabwe nti tebagenda kudda mu paalamenti era balemere ku mulamu ogwo, osanga tuyinza okufuna essuubi ne tuddamu ne tulaba ku bannaffe abaabuzibwawo, oba oliawo ne batuwa emirambo gyabwe oba ne babatuwa nga balamu. Abannayuganda bwe balabye nga ababaka b'opposition bazzeyo mu paalamenti, ekintu ekyo kiba kibamenyera ddala omutima. Wabula kye tusaba kimu, nti bagende mu maaso balemere ku nsonga, bayimirire ku kigambo kyabwe, bagambe nti ekimala kimala, tewali kudda mu paalamenti. Olunaku olwaleero bannayuganda tebakyetaaga kukiikirirwa, kubanga abamu bavaayo nga bagamba nti ate abaatulondo bakiikirira, bakiraba batya nga tuli wabweru wa paalamenti. Tewali munnayuganda atamanyi bigenda mu maaso. Bannayuganda bwe balaba nga ababaka baabwe bali wabweru wa paalamenti, bakitegeera butegeezi nti awo bayimiridde naffe, baagala bannayuganda bannaffe bakomezebwewo. Ababaka b'opposition bwe banaabakkiriza ne batadda mu paalamenti, kikakasibwa nti tujja kufuna obwenkanya ku kubuzibwawo kw'abantu baffe abo.